So you highly welcome my dear brothers and sisters out there. I'm glad that you just clicked to watch this message today. Today I'm going to be briefly talking about, the kind of two serpents, and how they operate, the mixing, the way that the two serpents operate, when we come to the scripture, you need to be able to understand the reasons, why you see that the serpent was allowed to enter into the Garden of Eden. Now I'm saying this, in order to make my brothers and sisters to really understand, the deeper secrets of the things which happen in the scripture, which is not being taught, to them, to an ordinary mind, So you need to be able to be inclined and understand really what took place and how the two serpents, or how the serpents operate, because remember what the Bible said. The Bible said that be ye wise as the serpent, but harmless, pure harmless as a dove. So you need to be able to understand something about them serpents. It's very, very important and necessary. Now, when we talk about the serpent, we're talking about now different kind of serpent, but let's talk about the old serpent, which was being allowed to go into the Garden of Eden. Now you need to be able to understand that the serpent which was allowed to go into the Garden of Eden, the Most High already knew that the serpent was going to go there. Why? Because the Most High prepared a place, prepared a Garden of Eden, which is planet Earth. So now, after preparation of that particular Garden of Eden, the Most High puts beings, in a literal sense now, puts beings that are going to be there, and that beings is just like a food, which was being used in order to attract the serpent, because the work of the serpent, the old serpent, is to move to and fro. When you talk about the serpent, they are seeking, they are putting different things, in different places, trying to see in different, other galaxies, trying to figure out where there is life, where there is life in different places, So when this serpent saw the place where the Garden of Eden, which was being planted, so these serpents wanted to visit that particular place. And in the midst of this particular garden, there is a food, a trap, which has already been set for this particular serpent, when we talk about the old serpent. So now, this serpent, when this serpent was in search of life, in search of food, in search of pasture, so the serpent was moving in different, galaxies, in different body, in different luminary, different places, When you talk about, people talk about Jupiter, Mars, Venus, and all these places, So they were moving in different areas because they were starving. So this serpent now, what happened is they located planet Earth, where there is life. You see, so when they located planet Earth, where there is life, what happened is they were like, wow. So now they trooped in. When you talk about the old serpent now, the old serpent now went into that particular garden. So when the old serpent went into that particular garden, now what happened is, the old serpent, the serpent never knew that that particular garden that was made, and the beings which were being allowed there, this is what the Bible talked about, the meek of the earth. The earth, the meek shall inherit the earth. So the earth which was being builded, after the Most High have already used it for his own purpose, he handed it over into the hand of the meek, the planet Earth. So now, when that planet Earth was being handed over into the hand of the meek, so the serpent was roaming up and down, to and fro. So what happened is the serpent located that planet Earth where it is. So on this planet Earth, now the serpent went there, not knowing that the meek of the earth, which were being allowed to put in that particular, which were being put there, was actually a trap for it, because this serpent cannot, it cannot survive on its own. It needed an energy to suck, in order for it to survive. So when this particular food was being put for this serpent, so what happened is this serpent saw the beings, saw this meek of the earth that were being put in the garden. So they came inside of it. So when they went inside of it, now they started doing what they started, trying to suck the energy, not knowing that the energy they are about to suck was actually a trap. That was why when they jumped into it, they tried to make the beings which were there, because they were being told, the meek of the earth, when the mighty ones who were here left this particular planet Earth, what happened is they handed over the earth into the hand of the meek of the earth. So, and they told the meek of the earth, look at this particular the way that this thing was being constructed. You don't have to go there. You don't have to. That is when we talk about the things that happen in the book of Genesis even. So the meek of the earth were being told not to go this direction. This thing that you see there is actually a trap. You see? So they were told. So when the serpent visited planet Earth, you know, you need to be able to understand when the serpent visited planet Earth. Why is it? You know, because the Most High, you know, knows, you know, when you talk about the spirit of life, the ones that created the Garden of Eden themselves, they know that the serpent is, you know, is roaming around, you know, seeking a place, you know. So that was why when the meek of the earth were being committed, you know, the planet Earth was being committed into the hand of the meek of the earth, they knew that the serpent was going to come and snatch it away from it. So, and they were being told, the children which were the meek of the earth were told not to tamper with what? With the tree of knowledge of good and evil, because it's going to open up their eyes. And when it opened their eyes, you know, they are going to know between good and evil. They are going to know how those things were being created and every other thing. So in order to avoid them being, you know, opening their eye, they just have to obey. So, and in the course of it now, the serpent visited that planet Earth. When the serpent came, the serpent was like, what is going on here? Look at what they have been searching over everywhere. So now what happened is, they started telling these beings, these meek of the earth, which are in the earth now, that, oh, there's nothing that is going to happen to you. You can be able to eat from that tree of life and whatsoever, nothing, that tree of knowledge of good and evil, and nothing is going to happen, because the ones that builded it knows that the day that you eat on it, your eyes is going to be open. You need to be able to understand what is really going on. So this serpent that visited was doing something in order to start manipulating over these beings which are there. But this serpent that visited already knew also that there are higher ones, higher beings that had visited planet Earth, or that had created something, that had left their footprints there. So now what happened is, these lesser serpents that came started now showing these beings who are here how these things, you know, started trying to discover and know how these things were being done. And by so doing, the people, that is to say the meek of the earth now, their eyes, because they have learned from the knowledge, they want to know from which place this particular serpent came from. Because this serpent now, they consider the serpent as somebody who is, you know, who is wise, who is going to tell them about what is really going on. Whereas, actually, the serpent actually was supposed to be the, you know, like the guidance of these children. But the serpent left his work and was now going beyond what he was being allowed to, in a literal sense now. The serpent, which was being supposed to be taking, you know, to be guiding the children or to be guiding the meek of the earth. What happened is, it's just like when you see a parent and then you have somebody, a babysitter, and then a food was being given to that babysitter. What happened? The moment that the parent of that individual is not around, you know, the moment that the parents of those children are not around, what happened? You see, the babysitter would take the food that was meant for the you know, for the children, and he or she will eat it, you know, and leaving the child starving. And this is what is going on, you know, because when as soon as the parents of the, you know, talk about the mighty ones who builded the planet Earth itself and put their own, you know, their own children, their own offspring, you know, their own cousins on planet Earth, what happened is, this guardian, this cherub who was supposed to be taking care or guiding these beings, because the parents have already gone on a mission, so they have gone on another journey. That is why, you know, they left a sign. That is why they left a footprint, you know. So they went on a third journey. So before returning, they are seeing their children that they are seeing a lot of things that look at, the children are starving. What is going on? You know, so now they started doing what? They now started, you know, flushing everything around. This is what you're seeing, you know, this is what they call revolution. This is what they call, you know, rapture, you know, trying to resurrect the people who have already been, you know, dumbed down by this serpent. Because the serpent itself, the trap which was being used was the people, was the meek of the earth, which is actually, yeah, of course, some people, you might say, how can somebody use his own children in order to do a trap? You know, because you need to be able to understand that there are categories and levels of different being, you know, because those traps, you know, it's just very, very easy, because we're talking about serpent wisdom here. So in order for you to be able to overstand some certain things, you need to be able to overstand that the one that is that created that knows that even before the serpent himself can be able to do what, to destroy or penetrate into these particular beings, that the children are going to cry out to him, you know, and he's going to do what he's going to hear in whatsoever way or the other, and he's going to come to to their aid and rescue. So when he left the children there, it was for a very good purpose. So what happened is, you need to be able to understand these things, you know, just some basic ideas of things which is really going on and took place in the, I'm not talking about, you know, some might talk about ancient Babylonian knowledge or whatsoever. I have no idea about all those ancient. I'm telling you what is really going on and the things that took place in the scripture, because one thing with some is that you need to be able to understand is that they are seeing the scripture, you know, from a different perspective, or in a literal sense. Now they are seeing it from just one perspective, from the eye of the way that the apostles, or when you talk about the pastors, you know, of the modern day pastors taught them the Bible is way more deeper than what you think about. So what I want you to understand is that this serpent, a time came that when this serpent visited planet Earth, this serpent now went to those children that were being put on planet Earth. So now what was their intention? In order to do what? To make these children to disobey, and in a literal sense, to go against the commandment, to go against the instruction which was being given to them not to eat from the tree of life. So that the moment that these particular beings will go against that you know, that instruction or that command which was being given to them, automatically that serpent which visited planet Earth is going to take over. And exactly that is what took place. So the serpent succeeded in what? In stripping the power from the hand of the children, or from the hand of the meek of the earth, who the earth was being committed into their hand by the mighty ones, because the mighty ones committed the planet Earth into their hand, and they went on a very far journey. You see, so but before returning, the serpent, that old serpent, has already stripped the control of the planet Earth. So that old serpent have already stripped the control of planet Earth from the hand of the people of the meek of the earth, whom the earth was being committed into their hand. So now the struggle now is, you know, because you need to be able to understand this. The power now, the struggle now is the meek of the earth, the return of the mighty ones, now the ones that even created the earth itself. Now what happened is their return is to be able to elevate, of course they are going to wipe off, you know, just clear up them serpents, you know, which have already tried to do all kind of things, you know, to be able to take that power or that dominion, you know, from the children. So upon the return of these mighty ones, you know, because signals have gone out, now the mighty ones have already known that that the serpent has visited here and has corrupted the whole human, you know, the whole human race which are here. So that is to say, the whole bloodline has already been that is diluted. So now the main thing is that the seed which are here, because when the serpent visited the garden, you need to be able to understand that the serpent, when the serpent visited the garden, the serpent actually started up his own seed line in order for it to be able to do what? To really have power over what? Over the control of the earth. So, and meanwhile, the seed line of the people, you know, who were here before the serpent visited, have been existing. This is why you need to be able to understand, and I tell you the reasons why. I tell you that that there are two bloodlines running in the earth, parallel. And that is the reason why even when you go into the book of Genesis, it made everything clear. Because the two seed line that is running, one belonged to the serpent, because the serpent visited afterward. The serpent came afterward. You remember, understand what I'm telling you now, my dear brothers and sisters. Planet Earth was already being created in a different dimension, in a different world, in a different galaxy, in a different place. So, and people were there. Life was there, everything. You understand it? And a brand new, or a different bloodline is going on there. Just as I'm talking to you now, another world has already been built. You know, another new heaven and new earth has already been made completely. When you talk about, when your NASA is telling you that they are using whatsoever microscope and they are looking in the north, in the east, the west, or wheresoever they are gazing, all those things that they are gazing to see where there is life and all, they knew that there is what? There is life. There is a place, there is a planet which is exactly like planet Earth, which has already been created brand new and has been existing there. So now, in that particular planet, in that place, life is there. Pure life is there. I'm talking about real, and there is what? Bloodline already running there. So now, in that particular place, there are people who are going to transit. That is to say, who are transiting from here, who are going to that particular place. So those beings are there. So, but time is going to come. Even that earth itself, the ones that enter there are going to live by leaving their footprint there and giving that particular new heaven and new earth into the hand of the meek of the earth. This serpent who visited there is going to try to do what? To corrupt the seed. So he's going to enter into that garden, that's new heaven and new earth, because right, like you're saying now, they are all starving. This is why when the things happen in Mars, it happens, you know, when you talk about, they talk about Mars and all these places, you know, there is starvation there, so a lot of them sneaked through and tried to come into planet Earth, which is where we are today. You know, they talk about the Garden of Eden, you know. So before they starved and they died there and everything, you know, what happened? They were in search of what? Of where they can get food. So they had to travel and come into planet Earth. And this planet Earth was already a trap for them. So beings are going to be trapped here, right here. So now, but in the world, or in the new heaven and the new earth, which has already been made, has already been prepared, and they themselves can bear witness to it, because they have to always use that their microscope and whatsoever to shoot and see that there is something life somewhere and everything. They already know it. So now, in that word, now understand what I'm trying to make you understand, my dear brothers and sisters. In that word, serpent from here has already been looking, you know, because they know that they are going to very soon start starving. So they are already searching for life. But in that one, there's already a bloodline running. So, and that bloodline is a pure bloodline, untainted, no tainted bloodline. So, but the serpent is going to visit there later. It's going to come afterward, just like the serpent came into this earth that we are in afterwards. So when the serpent came into this particular earth that we are in afterward, what happened is the serpent injected his own seed. So, but before the injection of the serpent, his own seed into this world that we are in, there is a bloodline that has been running for eternity. You need to be able to understand it. So when this serpent injected his own bloodline into this particular into this earth, now that is when you see that there are two bloodlines running in this particular earth. So that is why when you go into the book of Genesis, the Bible talked about Cain. Cain is not the father. Adam is not the father of Cain. Adam is what? Somebody who is like the meek of the earth. Who is, you know, the meek of the earth. Who the earth was being handed over into his hand. So Adam represents the meek of the earth. Now, when you talk about Cain, Cain is now from the seed line of what? Of Adam. No way. So Adam is not the father of what? Of Cain. Cain is the seed that is coming through the intercourse that the serpent had with what? With the woman in the garden. You need to be able to understand it in order to infiltrate the seed of what? Of Adam. And this is why the seed of Adam and the seed of Adam and the seed of the serpent is running parallel in the earth. That is why when you go into the book of Genesis also, you see in the book of Genesis that what? When you follow the seed line of Cain, what you are seeing, you are going to be seeing that somebody is called Enoch in the seed line of Cain, and the other person in the seed line of Seth, somebody is also called Enoch. When you go and you see somebody is called Methuselah here, and somebody is called Methuselah here, somebody is called Lamech here from the bloodline of Cain, and somebody is called Lamech from the bloodline of Seth. So these two are running parallel until they come to a place and they met. You know, this is the reason why there is a particular bloodline that is being chosen. Now, and the whole thing is to be able to make, this is why even when you talk about Israel, you talk about Jacob, you talk about all these beings, you know, you need to be able to understand something about the coded messages that is contained therein. Now, what is the purpose of this serpent? The serpent actually, when the serpent was being created, the serpent was being created in order to use its wisdom, you know, but something happened when the wisdom of the serpent was being puffed off. So the serpent needed to be taught a lesson, and that is the reason why it was being used as a trap. You know, the planet Earth was being set in the form of a trap for what? For that particular being, because he was causing too much trouble. He was causing too much havoc, and therefore the planet Earth, there is a place which was being set, and that is to say on planet Earth, which was being constructed in order to trap that entity which is called the serpent, the old serpent. And that is why the chain, you know, when the Bible talked about chain, and his seed is not going to be renewed. You know, the seed of the evildoers are not going to be renewed. And that is why, you know, they try to always pass, you know, suck the energy of people and transfer the energy from one place to the other. You see, because the people gave them the opportunity, they allowed them in. You know, so, and that is why, you know, they are moving from one. So these things are something that you need to be able to understand, that as at this time now, the earth was already being infiltrated longest time ago. And the reasons why, you know, the sons and daughters of the mighty ones that came down here is to be able to, they just saw everything. You know, they just saw, you know, that they are, you know, the people that they left down here, really, already they knew that these things are going to happen. It's a certainty. You know, they knew that these things are going to happen. Some are already here. So they knew that that the planet Earth was going to be stripped off from the hand of the meek of the earth. You know, because the meek of the earth, they were too, you know, they are not yet, you know, they are not too strong spiritually. So, but because of their meekness, the earth was being given into their hand, and they, not knowing who the serpent was, open up their arms, you know, try to make friends with everything, you know. So what happened? They were being entered really deep, you know, and they were being hurt very deep. So, and now it is the time, you know, for them to take back what has been stripped from them, from the hand of this serpent. So this is why they themselves equally needed to do what? To build up their own serpents, because their serpent now, this is why you talk about, you know, you hear some people, you know, they talk about, if you go into the Bible talk about the old serpent called the devil. So there is a new serpent, and that new serpent was raised in order to help the meek of the earth, in order for them to rise up. You need to be able to understand what is going on. So the new serpent, if you go into the Bible talked about Moses' serpent, which Moses lifted up a serpent in the wilderness. So that serpent that Moses lifted up in the wilderness was lifted up in order to confront the old serpents. So these two serpents, there are the old serpent and there are the new, and the old serpent is there, and the new serpent which Moses raised was in order to do what? To counter. That is the reason why you see that Moses' serpent was swallowing other minor serpent, but there is another serpent which is there, which is battling now, trying to take control, trying to still hold control of the earth, which he infiltrated longest time because of deceiving, you know, the people who are on planet earth. So, but the people who have been here, you know, who have been on planet earth, the meek of the earth, they have also formed already a serpent, which I call the new serpent. And this new serpent is trying to take back their power, trying to take back their dominion. Now, when you go into the Bible talked about the punishment that was being given to the serpent is that dust shall thou eat, because you did what you did. You went into the garden and then you deceived these people. You tell them to, you made them to disobey the word. So what happened is that because you did this, therefore you are going to be feeding off them. That is why the Bible says that upon thy belly you are going to be going secret. You are going to be doing your things in secret. Talk about the old serpent. So upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life. You need to be able to understand. Very key and very important. So, and remember, Adam is what? Is dust. He said that he's dust and ashes, nothing but dust and ashes. So which means the serpent is going to be feeding. You need to be able to understand this. The serpent is going to be feeding off dust in order for it to live. And in order for it to feed off dust, the serpent has to do this secretly, in a secret society, in secret place, in you know, secretly operate. That is why the Bible say upon thy belly. You know, when a cat is doing something, or when a lion wants to catch a prey, you see the lion goes on its belly and then crawling. Or when a serpent, when a snake wants to get something, you know, you see it, you know, very crawling, very smooth, slowly to the place to eat prey and then be formed. So that is why the Bible says upon thy belly shall. So that is why the Bible says, upon thy belly, shall thou go, and dust shall thou eat all the days of thy life. Which means the energy which this serpent is going to be living off on, which this old serpent is going to be living off on, is going to be the energy that is coming from what? From dust. So which means all the beings which are trapped in this particular, that is to say in earth, in dust, are going to be what? Food for what? For the serpents. You need to be able to understand what is really going on. So the serpent is feeding off the entities, the people who were being trapped here, who are being trapped here, in order for it to do what? To still have the power, or to still have the life, in order to be searching for a different place. So the people gave, the dust that this serpent is eating is the one that is giving. They are the ones that he is able to trap here, or he's able to do what? To deceive here. Because remember, the deception that this serpent deceived the people in the garden, or the meek of the earth in the garden, was to let them to think, oh, there's nothing that is going to happen to you. You can go and do this, and because when you eat it, your eyes is going to be open and all these things, because they never understood that the serpent was doing that because he had no any other option. The only option that this serpent had is to do what? Is to feed off dust all the day of his life. So rotation wheresoever, so the serpent will be doing everything, will be moving from one place to the other, seeking for where there is dust. And when I talk about dust, remember, Abraham said that he is dust and ashes. You guys need to be able to understand the deep mysteries of what is really going on. Excuse me for that word, You need to be able to understand real deep, Abraham is dust and ashes. Adam is dust and ashes. And the serpent is going to be feeding off dust and ashes. It's going to be feeding off dust. When you talk about Abraham, when you talk about that body, Abraham, if you don't escape a certain dimension, then that means the serpent is going to feed off you. Why? Because you were being stuck in a certain dimension. Because that is the energy which was being allowed each to do what? To feed off all the rest of his life. So this is a job. The serpent is actually doing the job which he needed to do in order to do what? To survive. So that is why he's looking up everywhere. That is why he's using his own entities to be able to do what? To be searching life in different places, in different galaxies, in different planetary bodies. When you talk about Jupiter, Mars and all these places, they are existing, absolutely. They are planetary bodies. They are different places. Some are visiting planet Earth, because they are starving, but not all are allowed to come in here. Some that sneaked, got themselves trapped. You need to be able to understand it. So this serpent, when the serpent entered the Garden of Eden, the serpent went there in order to do what? To accomplish his own purpose, because he ain't got no any other option to live rather than to feed off what? Dust and what? And ashes. And Adam was a dust and ashes. So since this thing has happened, so now the dust and ashes were trying to do what? To free themselves from what? From that, from that bond of this serpent. So but the dust and ashes cannot do it easily, so they needed a help. That is why they called for help. They called for help. They prayed. That is why the Bible said that then began men to do what? To call upon the name, call upon the name of Yahuwah. They began to do what? To pray for help, to come, so that help will come to them, because on their own, serpent was too heavy for them. So they called for help, and then helper was being sent to them in order to do what? To help them, free them from what? From the hand of what? Of that old serpent. So the ones that accepted the help are going to be freed. That is the reason why the Bible talked about when the serpent, when Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness. Any man that looketh up to that serpent liveth. If the serpent bites you, and you look up to that serpent, you live. But the instruction was, if any man is being bitten by the serpent, and then you look up to that particular serpent, what is going to happen? You're going to live. But if you refuse to look up to that particular serpent, you are not going to be healed, or you are not going to get yourself whole. So this is what happened. You know, you need to be able to understand that. The word of the serpent is here, and the serpent feeds off dust and what? And ashes. So if you are being trapped, you are a being that you're not, you can be trapped in what? In a body of dust and ashes, because you are to escape it. You are to come here because you are on a journey, just as the same way that the serpent was on a journey, but he came here and then saw life here and stayed here, you know, and decided to do what? To hang up here. But you came, you are a spirit being, you are a spirit being on a journey. There are different levels of serpent. So the old serpent is a small serpent to compare to the ones that even made the planet Earth. That is to say, they made the Garden of Eden themselves. Mighty ones have been visiting the Garden of Eden itself. They come into the Garden of Eden, they left. They come into the Garden of Eden, they left. Without, you know, trying, because they know it already. They have been coming and going. But when this serpent came, the serpent who was starving everywhere, he was like, whoa, 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 what is going on here? Look at, you know, look at where everything that he's looking for is what? Is well loaded. That was why when he started to exploit the place, now the people who were there started starving. And that was when the Most High said, you know what, you people are misbehaving now. My spirit is no longer going to strive with what? With man. I'm going to do what? Take out my spirit. Why? Because this being that came here, you know, have come and done what? And corrupted you people now. And you people now are behaving like what? Like it itself, you know. So it's a deep thing, you know. If you don't understand the mystery of what is really going on, my dear brothers and sisters, you need to be able to understand that this is a journey. This is a journey. You are on transit. So, and you do not let these small serpents here, you know, you need to be able to understand the level of your own, the level of the being that you are, in order to escape. Because if you don't know who you are, this serpent, I mean, talk about the serpent that visited here is going to suck your energy, whether you like it or not. So you just have to do what? You just have to grow. You just have to get yourself, you know, you have to grow spiritually. You have no option. You know, if you stuck yourself here, this entity, because it's coming out with full force. The entity is going to come out, you know, because a lot of people are saying that, you know, that is still on the background, you know, that things are still, the entity is going to come out and do what? Is already identifying his own product. Because he knows that he has but a short time before what? Before the whole energy here is going to be sucked, including his own. And then after this energy is being sucked, that entity which is called the serpent is going to be tied in what? In a body. It's going to be tied in this body because he can't escape this body any longer. And then he's going to be put in chain. He's going to be put in chain. And then that is how he's going to do what? The people that he deceived are going to still continue from there, and they are going to try to be seen finding in different places again, you know, in order to do what? To resurrect their God, in a literal sense, their father, who is the old serpent, who have been tied in what? In a body. So they are trying to get a life from another galaxy by deceiving others in order to pump that life into what? Into this serpent, so that this serpent will come out. So because they are going to release this serpent from with the life which they have sucked from other galaxies. Are you getting what is really going on, my dear brothers and sisters out there? So you need to be able to be inclined. A lot of people do not understand that you are actually the ones pumping some of these entities in order for them to do what? To grow, because you are ignorant of their actions. You need to be able to understand it. So the serpent that is here is already come and infiltrated. This is why I tell you that there are two bloodlines running in the earth. There are two Israelites. There are two Yehudim. There are two kind of Israelites. You need to be able to understand it. There are two Judah. Judah from Jacob and Judah which is existing already. There are two Enochs. Enoch from this side, Enoch from this side. There are two Lamech. Lamech from here, Lamech from here. There are two bloodlines running in the earth, parallel. One from the serpent, one from the... This is why the seed of evildoers will not be renewed. The seed of evildoers has no chance of what? Being renewed. So what is going to happen to them? They are going to be, you know, they are going to just be sucking energy in order for them to be able to live. Because it's not going to be renewed So they have no any other option rather than to what? Than to suck the energy of the people raw in order for them to live on their own. So the beings which are being dumbed down, or you need to be able to understand, you know, some people, they try to say that they are the planet Earth's holders and they are the ones that are the planet Earth belong. You don't know nothing of what you're doing, what you're saying. You are a visitor here. What is on planet Earth that you want to say that you belong here? You are coming, you are a stranger here. You're a stranger here. Here has already been tamed. Here is a bondage. Planet Earth is what? You are a visitor. You are a business person who came here in order to transact. You are a spirit being in a body. You see? And you say you are planet Earth, or you want to inherit the Earth. You want to inherit which Earth? This one? Where were you before the creation of the Earth itself? You are older than the Earth itself. This is what I would like you to understand. So if you say you want to inherit the Earth, Satan, when they talk about Satan now, the serpent will be in control of you. Why? Because you are going to be subjected under it. Because it's going to deceive you people all. As many as are under the earth, as many as are going to inherit the earth, they are going to be there. Why not get out? Don't you understand what the Bible talks about? What? Enoch was alive and then he did what? The chariot of fire took him out. Enoch was taken. Yahushua was taken. Moses tried to get out but not. What happened? He was stuck here. He was stuck here. They were stuck here. So what happened? A being came and did what? You need to be able to understand all these things, you know. So there are people who are going to escape these particular dimensions, who are going to escape these particular traps, which is already being set, because it's a trap which was being set already by what? For the serpent. So if you want to behave like the serpent, therefore you are going to also be trapped in the same place with the serpent, because the trap was meant for the serpent. And if you misbehave, therefore the serpent, you and the serpent are going to be trapped together here. And then both of you are going to be doing to see who is going to take control of one another. This is real talk. You don't understand what is really going on? The Bible is more deeper than you think, my dear brothers and sisters out there. So